My name is Chuck Petropoulos, and I'm your host for the Amiga Professional Tutorial Series. This one is entitled The Ultimate Amiga Guide to Video Production, Volume 1. Whatever your interest, whether it be in home video, a wedding videographer, or professional video production work, I take you step by step, from setting up the equipment and learning how to use the software required to make amazing titling and animation for your video production work. I've included a 2-disc set of animation and backgrounds that I also show you how to create on the tape. I'll be demonstrating a system for under $1,500 that will allow you to have a complete video production system for your own video work. I have tutorials on DeluxePaint III, Elan Performer, and TV Show. And if you find you get a little bored or there's a little too much information to absorb, fast forward to Amiga TV. TV like only the Amiga can produce. So now sit back and relax and get ready to experience the amazing ability of the Amiga computer in video production today. For your computer, use only name-brand double-sided double-density discs. For your convenience, label your disk drives. The internal drive DF0:, and the external drive DF1:. Make backups of all program and work disks, for example the DeluxePaint III program disk. On the video side, again use name brand high-quality tape and cables and record black onto the blank tape before using. You're going to be required to have some equipment to begin with. A camcorder and VCR, one with flying erase heads that will allow clean edits, a video monitor, which means it accepts a composite signal and has a RCA audio and video in jack. And for your production system, the Amiga 500 computer with 1 megabyte of memory, an external disk drive for your convenience again to save your work onto disks, and the Minigen Genlock. Genlock being the device that synchronizes the video and computer signals together to record onto tape. And the software DeluxePaint III, excellent paint, titling, and animation package. And finally, Elan Performer. It allows your computer to become a keyboard editing system. All of this for a total list price of $1,464.75. The system is designed with the player, either a camcorder or a VCR, your Amiga serving as the editing deck, allowing you to overlay graphics and titling, and finally the recorder with the flying erase heads to allow clean edits. This all outputs to the monitor to be viewed as you're doing your work. How it works is the video signal goes out from the player into the Genlock, out of the Genlock into the recorder. From there, out of the recorder into the monitor to be viewed. The audio system can go directly from the player to the recorder or allow a variation to input music or whatever you desire. This again outputted the audio signal to the monitor to be viewed. With this basic system, you can now begin to create your own video masterpieces, limited only by your imagination and your creativity. The tape assumes the computer and video equipment has been assembled as per their manuals and begins from that point on. This is an example of the diagram we had before: the camcorder, the player, the Amiga, the editing deck, the recorder, and the monitor. We begin by installing the Minigen Genlock, which inserts into the RGB plug on the back of the 500. Press it in gently and firmly. When that is attached, on the back is an out and in plug on there. Into the in plug, insert from the player or the camcorder the RCA plug. Taking your other RCA cable, insert that into the out, and that will then run into the video in of the recorder. The audio system, as we had in the diagram, goes from the player directly to the recorder. So we then input into the recorder the video in plug and the audio in plug. On the back of the recorder, we then insert the RCA plug into the video out and into the audio out. This will then run into the monitor, into the audio and video in plugs on there. The system using a video monitor and the Mini-Gen Genlock provides an industry-standard composite signal. It, however, does not permit the higher resolution RGB signal that the Amiga produces to be viewed. To upgrade a Commodore 1084 monitor and Pro-Gen Genlock are needed, at an additional cost of $624.95. The Commodore monitor allowing both the RGB and composite signal, as does the Pro-Gen Genlock. So to install the Pro-Gen Genlock, that also inserts into the back of the RGB plug on the 500, attach it firmly. On the back left, we then attach the monitor cable coming from the 1084 monitor. To the right of that are two BNC connectors that I labeled in and out. We require an adapter for that, BNC male to an RCA female. Attach those adapters on top of the in and the out plug, and the setup is then similar to the Mini-Gen. Being the camcorder to insert into the in from the player, and again the RCA cable, gold-plated, running out to the recorder. Repeating the same process, the video in and the audio in to the recorder. And on the back of the recorder, the video out and the audio out that will then run to the Commodore 1084 monitor. We first had the cable running from the back of the Pro-Gen Genlock that goes into the RGB input into the back of the 1084 monitor. From there, we will then attach the video out and the audio out from the back of the recorder into the audio in and the video in onto the 1084 monitor. On the front of the monitor is a switch that allows you to switch between the composite and the RGB signal, allowing you to view both signals on the one monitor. To review the change now, the Genlock now has an RGB output that goes directly into the 1084 monitor. It continues to maintain the composite output that is then switchable on the front of the monitor between the RGB and the composite. This is how the new system looks, the difference being the Mini-Gen Genlock replaced with the Pro-Gen and the video monitor replaced with the Commodore 1084 monitor. Comparative cost, the basic $1465.75, the upgrade system $2190.65. The software used to create our effects is DeluxePaint III. For titling, backgrounds, and animations that I'll show you how to create step by step. So to begin with, put your copy of DeluxePaint III into DF0, your internal drive. When the picture or icon of DeluxePaint III appears, move your pointer on top, double-click with the left mouse button to open up the initial window. There you'll see displayed color text, which will again double-click with the left mouse button. This will allow us to use color fonts, which are multicolored fonts, two of which are included with the art disk of DeluxePaint. Then we're going to double-click with the left mouse button on the DeluxePaint icon, and the initial screen will come up. We have a number of choices on the initial screen, being different resolutions. We have low res, interlace, medium res, high res, all of these available in an overscan. The higher resolution lowers the number of colors. So what we're going to do is now go back to low res, 32 colors, and click OK. With only 1 megabyte of memory, the lower resolutions offer greater variety of effects. DeluxePaint III features extensive keyboard commands which are extremely helpful and will be shown during the tutorials. If you're unfamiliar with DeluxePaint III, to the right is the toolbox showing different brush sizes and different tool functions, as you can see. Underneath that is the palette, showing you the color choice, 32 colors in this case. If you move your pointer to the upper left corner, hold and press down the right mouse button, you can then access menus. Menus also allowing you to do different functions within the program. To the right of some of the commands, you can see other keyboard equivalent commands that are sometimes more useful than using the menu items.
begin with, we take the pointer and move it on top of the A in the toolbox. Press the right mouse button. That brings up a font requester. A requester being a box that allows you to choose different functions within the program. In this case, we're choosing different type of text, fonts being types of text style. So within the font requester, we can make different choices. We can first select with the up and down arrow to see the number of fonts that are available. We'll click back, choose Ruby. This is the different sizes. Clicking up shows the larger sizes. You can show the font to see if it's suitable for the type of work we want to do with it. Then we have other choices. Clicking with the left mouse button, bold, italic, underline. Clicking again de-highlights those functions. To use fonts on other disks, we have to go down to the drawer line. First type in the device, in this case df1:, and fonts. This from the VPI2 disk included, fonts that are included with this package. Choose digital, show you what that looks like. Click on OK if you were going to use that. To use the color fonts, put the DeluxePaint III Art disk in DF1, then press return. That will load those fonts in there. Color fonts, as I said, are multicolored fonts which use their own palette if you care to use that. They use up the first 8 colors of the palette, so be aware of that when you're working on the backgrounds. Now back to titling. We had chosen the Ruby font. Will come up as a small box. We can place that anywhere on the screen we care to start typing the text. When you've decided where you want to, press with the left mouse button, begin typing, sample text. We're going to create that into a brush next. Click the left mouse button on the brush selector, hold the crosshairs to the upper left, move down and release when you've created a box on top of the text. Now we're going to clear the screen. We're going to stamp that down where we care to. By pressing the left mouse button, that is now stamped down. If you didn't like that, choose Undo to remove the last operation. Again, stamp it down with the left mouse button, undo it. Stamp it down again with the left mouse button. Being a brush, we have different functions we can do with it. We can make it in half. We can double it. We can double the horizontal. We can double the vertical. Or we can stretch it in any shape we care to, holding down the left mouse button and pulling it wherever we care to and then releasing. You can flip it horizontally. You can flip it vertically. You can rotate it 90 degrees. You can rotate it any angle you choose. Comes up as a box, then move your left pointer up. On the right-hand upper screen are the degrees. 45 degrees is a good angle to get a straight line on an angle. Release. There you have it on a 45-degree angle. Next, let's see how to create some color choices for the text. Click Clear. Click on A with the left mouse button. Take your square up. Click with the left mouse button to stamp it down, and let's make some color choices. Clicking with the left mouse button, as you can see, gives you different colors available in the center circle there. So we'll choose a yellow. We'll type sample text again. We'll move the box around. Choosing a different color first, a blue. Take it down. Stamp it down. Again, type sample text. Then we'll create that into a brush. Choosing the brush selector tool. Being a brush, we can choose a different way to choose colors. Take your pointer up, press down the right mouse button, choose Mode, go down to Color or F2. Then take your pointer directly to the palette, choose different colors, and the brush appears in that color. Let's next discuss color choice. Avoid high, contrasting, very bright, saturated colors. As you can see, there is an effect called a chroma crawl, where the edges appear to move between the two contrasting colors. Please note that all color choices should be viewed on the composite video monitor, not the computer monitor for accuracy. That will be discussed again later on in the tape. Now what we're doing is loading a reference palette from DeluxePaint to allow you to see how saturation values affect the colors on screen. I have loaded the DF1, the art disk, chose low res. Within that now I'm choosing the tutorial, and within that I'm going to choose the reference palette. Choose load. The reference palette will then appear on screen. Press the F10 key to remove the menus. This is an example of the low to high saturation values and how they appear on screen for titling. Press P for palette, and I'll show you how to adjust those colors. I've chosen the high intensity red. I'm moving the S for saturation value down to a 12. I'm then moving the R for red also down to a 12 to remove the higher saturation values. One more quick example. Hit P for palette again. This time I'll choose a blue color, taking the saturation value from the 15 down to the 12. Click on OK. Another technique to improve text is to edge or outline it. In this example, we're going to create a brush out of the color choice here. And we take the pointer, choose a color, press the O key on the keyboard twice. That creates the edging and gives it a much more distinctive look. We can then vary that choosing the straight line tool, holding down the left mouse button, pulling it down. We create what's called a drop shadow effect. Next we'll create a cast shadow. Choose the fill tool, making the background gray. Then choose the font requester, and I'm selecting another font from the VPI2 disk to show you what some of the fonts look like. Click on OK. Then we choose Menu, Effect, Background Fix. Hit J for the spare screen. And we'll type some text on the screen. Using the Camelot font we had chosen, we'll type Video. Then we'll create that into a brush. Then we'll choose a color. Press F2 to create that brush into that color. Press J to return to the initial screen. Stamp that down. Press J again to return to the other screen. Create that again into a brush. The advantage of the fixed background allowing you to clear text if incorrect. Again, press J to return to the initial screen. Click on O to give it an outline. Stamp it down where you will, and you have created a cast shadow. To record over video, the computer must be set to an interlaced mode. To do so, place the Minigen disk in the disk drive, double-click with the left mouse button to open up the window. The non-interlaced mode gives the interference of the line you see rising up the screen. Double-click on the Set Lace, which will then set the computer to the interlaced mode, which doubles the number of horizontal lines, allowing the two fields supported in video. Let's begin then by typing some text down. As you see, when you hit the return, it will go to the next line if you want to do more than one line of text. I'd like to point out now that color 0 on the palette is your transparent video color, your background color, whatever color it may be, black, blue, etc. Now we'll create a brush with the first line of text that we've typed down, the Amiga graphics, to be overlaid onto video. So we'll pick up the brush, press the F10 key to remove the menu. The Minigen has a 3-position switch, mixed, video and graphics, picture being the video, graphics being the computer graphics. So we'll stamp the brush down, pressing the delete key to remove the cursor and position the other text. For videographers, here's a technique to video photographs. You can have a makeshift copy stand out of an old box. Take your camera, line it up, and then take a live video shot of the photograph itself. From there you can overlay titling onto that, in this case an extruded color font being used. You can vary the appearance of the text with what is known as a gradient fill. First I'm typing a granite color font, making that into a brush. Choosing a color, pressing F2 brings that out to a solid color. Another way to utilize a font in a different way. I'm going to stamp that down with the left mouse button. Press P to bring up the palette. It contains different functions, the spread allowing a spread of colors, and arrange a range of colors to be used in a gradient fill. So I'll click once with the left mouse button on the first color, click Range, the 2 will appear, click again with the left mouse button to choose that range of colors. You have up to 6 different ranges that can be set. Click OK, then click the Fill tool with the right mouse button, choose on the palette that range of colors as you can see on the bottom, dithering controlling the mixture of the colors together to achieve different effects. The gradient fill having 3 choices, vertical, horizontal, and horizontal line fill. We'll choose the vertical fill for this example. Click on OK. Then we can fill each letter individually. As you see the gradient fill filling up each individual letter. We'll undo that just to show you can undo your operations if you want. Next we'll do a gradient fill with the entire brush as opposed to each individual letter, as it achieves a different effect. We'll go up to the menu, choose Effect, Stencil, Make. We'll then clear that. We'll choose the color blue that is on the text. Click that. Then click Invert so that the only color that will be available for the gradient fill to fill is that blue color. Then choose the gradient fill range. Click on the vertical fill. Click on the Filled Rectangle tool. Create a box and the gradient fill fills the brush in a little different style than the first example. Next, let's create some different types of backgrounds. For video work, we should always choose Overscan, no matter what resolution we choose for the background itself, whether it be a low res, whether it be a high res, which does lower the colors. For this example, we'll choose low res Overscan. We're going to first create solid color backgrounds utilizing the Fill tool. Click it with the right mouse button, make sure it's set to solid. Choose a color from the palette. Click on OK. Hit your F10 to remove the menus, then press the left mouse button, and the background fills with that particular color. Press F10 again to bring back the menu. Clicking the left mouse button fills it with that color. And we can make a different choice, just to illustrate any of the colors that are available to you as a background color. In the same way we could create gradient fills in the text color, we can do that with the background colors. So first set it to black, choose Clear. Press P for Palette. You can move the palette around by holding down the left mouse button and moving it to a location that you find more usable. We're again going to utilize the range effect. So we're going to click with the left mouse button for the first choice of the range, click on Range, going to and giving us a full range of those colors. Click on OK, move the pointer to the Fill tool, click with the right mouse button to bring up the Fill menu. We're going to choose that range of colors, as you see the gradient fill. Going to click on the vertical fill type, click on OK, press the F10 key, click with the left mouse button, and now we're creating a gradient fill background. This particular background is the one I use for the main title screens for this particular tape. Gradient fills allow for a large variety of different effects for the backgrounds. Experiment with different ranges, different dithering, and setting the fill to different types to see what you consider to be best for the work that you're doing. To illustrate, let's create a different range of colors for a different gradient fill background. Press P to bring up Color Palette. Click number 2 to make this the second range. Click with the left mouse button for the first. Click Range 2. Click on OK. Press Shift F to bring up the Fill menu. Again, you can adjust the dithering as you would care to have different effects. And for this example, we'll choose the horizontal fill as opposed to the vertical fill to show some variety. Hit your F10 key, press the left mouse button, and the screen fills up. This time the color is going from left to right as opposed from up to down. Here's a tip. Save your work to disk periodically, for example every 30 minutes, to ensure that if there is a problem with the computer, your project will still be intact. We're going to do another gradient fill to again illustrate the spread function. So what we want to do, hit your F10 to bring your menus back. Click Clear. Press your P for palette. We're going to use the copy function. Select a color, hit copy, move it to where you like. Select a color, hit copy, move it to where you like. Click with the left mouse button, hit spread, and that creates a spread of colors between the two colors. We'll make this the third range. And we're going to change the direction to give another variety to the effect. Press Shift F for the fill menu. We'll choose that range. Click on OK. Hit your F10. Press your left mouse button. And we have a different range of colors, starting with the lighter color on the left to the darker red on the right. You can utilize the spread to create any spread of colors you like. Again, experiment and see what is best suited for the project that you're working on. We're going to do one more gradient fill, this time creating a band of colors to illustrate that effect. So again, press your F10 to bring back your menu. Press your Shift F key to bring up the fill menu. Take your dither control and move it all the way to the left to create a band of colors. Click on OK. Vertical fill, click on OK. Clear, F10, left mouse button. Now you see we've created a band of colors. The vertical fill, lighter color up top to the darker colors on the bottom. Next, we're going to create a background that has a 5-color gray range in it. Select the range, click OK. Press Shift F for the fill menu. Choose that range from the palette. Click vertical fill, click OK. F10, left mouse button. That will fill in with this 5-color range. If you don't already, start to watch the screens and effects used on television for ideas to create yourself. So when this is done, we're going to hit the F10 to bring back the menu, and we're going to create a transparent shadow for the box that we're going to put on top of that. So we hit F10, go to the menu, go to Screen Format, and change it to 64 colors, which is the half-bright mode. Then click with the right mouse button on the fill type, click on half bright up top, HB for half bright in the fill, click OK. Click the filled rectangle tool, holding down the left mouse button, create a large box, and this will create a transparent shadow over the 5-color spread. When you have it to the size you want, release it. Click the right mouse button on the fill tool, click solid, click OK. Choose the color you want for the box in the first 32 colors. Go back up, click the filled rectangle tool again, and create a box to go on top of the transparent shadow that we have created. Release the button when satisfied. Choose a black color, move up and choose the largest square brush size, choose the unfilled rectangle, pressing down the left mouse button, move that till it creates an edge around that box. Once there, release. Press the F10 to see what it looks like. Press the F10 again to bring back the menu. Next, we're going to create a diagonal background. Choose the straight line tool, create a straight line. Click the brush tool twice so you can then customize the way you want the brush to go. Stamp it down where you want it. Press the space bar to join it. I've now created a diagonal brush. I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to stamp that down up top. Stamp it down again to set a parallel distance between the two. Stamp it down again. Be sure the line extends all the way to the end of the background. Press your F10 if you need to examine that. I'm then going to make a brush out of that section, so I have the same parallel distance, and then stamp that down, continue the process. I'll then create another brush from what I've already stamped down, double-clicking again with the left mouse button. Clicking once, clicking again, clicking again, clicking again, joining them. Then utilizing that brush to continue the process till the screen is completed. Once completed, hit the F10 key. As I said earlier, it's a good idea to save your work, especially when you've finished a project. So go up to the menu, choose Save, choose DF0, and in the file name it. Name this blue diagonal. Hit Save. Saves it onto the disk. Next, we're going to modify this by putting a gradient fill into certain of the diagonal columns. So we hit P for palette. Click on the first color that we want. Click on Range to the last color. Created that range of colors. Click OK. Choose that range of colors. Press the right mouse button on the Fill tool. Choose the horizontal fill. Click OK. We're going to fill in every other one of the diagonal columns there. Moving the fill tool, clicking with the left mouse button. It achieves a very nice effect. Next, we're going to modify the blue diagonal screen. So load that off of disk 1 back into the computer. You'll see the basic screen appear. Hit P for palette. Move the pointer on top of the blue line and press the comma key to pick that color. Then we're going to modify that color by moving the R, G, and B settings all to the number 4 to create a gray. Create a range by clicking on the first color range and then 2 for the last color. Click on OK. Move the pointer to the Fill tool. Click the right mouse button. Choose the range from the palette. Click OK. Hit your F10 key. Left mouse button. This time filling in each column. This is another screen that I used for the tape, and this is how I created it. You can vary the color spreads and the ranges to achieve many different effects. This is an example of a high-res screen, which is included on disk 2, showing a blue gradient fill on that. Next, we're going to create another background utilizing a number of features that we've already gone over. On this one, we're going to choose the screen format of interlace, overscan, OK. We're going to make the screen gray by hitting clear after setting the background to gray. Press the right mouse button on the background to bring up the palette. What we're going to do now is copy the black to another color on the screen. Click OK. I'm going to take the straight line tool, pressing down the left mouse button, creating some diagonal lines. Till we've created 4 different sections. Press your F10, hit your P for palette. We're going to choose some ranges. That's our first 4-color range. Hit your right mouse button, bring the fill type, move the dithering down, press OK, hit your F10, press your left mouse button, and that will fill in that with the red gradient fill. Press P to bring up the palette. We're going to create a spread, copying this color to here. Choosing a spread, those colors. Choosing a range of that. Click OK. Choose that range from the palette. Click the right mouse button on the fill tool. Click OK. F10. Left mouse button puts that blue gradient fill into that section. Again, press P for palette, create another spread. Click OK. Left mouse button, and that gradient fill will now fill into there. Again, press P for palette to create that final range that we need to fill in. Creating that range, click on OK. Right mouse button on Fill Tool, OK. Left mouse button to fill. This completes the 4 different gradient fills. Now we want to be able to color cycle each one of those. So when this is completed, you press P to bring up the palette. And the first 4 ranges are the ranges that we choose. We're going to set the speed of each one to the same. Going down from 4, 3, 2, and number 1. These are our 4 ranges. Click OK. F10, press the Tab key, and the colors cycle through the 4 gradient fills. Press your F10 again. We're going to now put on the transparent shadow. Going into the half bright mode, click OK. Click the right mouse button on the Fill tool. Choose half bright, OK. Choose a color. Choose your filled rectangle. Hit F10. Position it where you want. Press the left mouse button to create a box to achieve the transparent shadow effect. Release when satisfied with the position. Press the F10 key again. Choose a color for the box from the first 32 colors. Press the pointer on the Fill tool. Click with the right mouse button. Choose Solid. Choose OK. Choose the Filled Rectangle tool. Pressing down the left mouse button. Create a box. When you're satisfied with the shape, release the button. choose a color from the palette, a darker shade of the gray. Choose a square brush size. Choose the unfilled rectangle. Edge this around the box, holding down the left mouse button. Moving the crosshairs down to the lower right corner. When completed, release the button. I've added a black edge on the inside. And this is the completed background on disc 1 under interlace, Hollywood diagonal with box. Next, we're going to create a box. Click with the right mouse button and click Clear to create the lighter background. Choose the gray color from the palette. Click the Filled Rectangle tool and create a box. Choose the square built-in brush. Clicking with the right mouse button, we're going to size it. Pulling it out to a larger size. Release. Then choose a darker gray color from the palette. Click the Unfilled Rectangle tool, putting it up in the upper left corner, pulling it down to edge that box, moving the crosshairs to the lower right-hand corner. When satisfied, release. Press P for palette. Copy one color, copy another color, set a spread between those two colors to give us a gray range. To allow for variation on the edging, click OK. And we're going to choose the Straight Line tool, click the magnifier with the left mouse button. Let's choose a lighter color. Holding down the left mouse button, join that diagonally, release, on the other side. Then choose the Fill tool, click with the left mouse button to fill. Do the same arrangement on the other corners, choosing a lighter color for the fills to create a lighting effect on the box. On the left. Next, we want to cut it out as a brush, moving the pointer to the brush selector, clicking with the left mouse button, taking the crosshairs up to the upper left, moving them down until we have the box within the brush parameters. Releasing the left mouse button when done. Then we want to save that. Go up to the brush menu, choose Save. This is saved as Box 1 High Res on Disc 2. Next, we're going to use a box to create a background. Setting up the box in a similar manner as we did in the other example. This is Grid Low Res on Disc 2. We cut it out as a brush. Then we apply a gradient fill to the center. Apply different shading on the edging as we did in the other example to produce lighting effects. Once that's completed, we cut that out as a brush. This is saved as Grid 1 Low Res on Disc 2. We're going to clear the screen. Click the right mouse button on the Fill tool. Click Pattern from Brush. You can now see the brush pattern. Click OK. Hit your F10 key. Press your left mouse button. And the pattern of the brush now fills the screen to create a new background screen. You can use any brush to create any pattern you care to. For example, the Video to Go brush here. Again, F10. Click your left mouse button. Or or in this instance, a varied brush, it creates a very interesting effect. Next, we're going to create a grid pattern in the high resolution mode. Choose the filled rectangle, create a brush. Choose the unfilled rectangle, choosing the built-in square brush tool, holding down the left mouse button, releasing when satisfied. Then creating this into a brush from the black edging there. Release when satisfied. Move the pointer to the fill tool, click with the right mouse button. Choose the pattern from the brush, click OK. Clear the screen, hit F10, click your left mouse button. This pattern will now fill the screen. Next, we're going to change the color of the background. Press P for palette. Choose the current color background. Move the RGB sliders until we've created a more pastel, purple pinkish shade. Click on OK. Forgot to create a range and a spread, so hit P again. Create a spread from the gray colors. Then make that into a range. Click OK. Press F10, Shift F. Choose the range. Choose the horizontal fill. Hit F10. Click with the left mouse button. And now the black grid will be filled in with that gradient fill, which will also create a lighting effect, lighter on the left to darker on the right. Known as Grid HR on Disc 2. Next, we're going to create a variation on this particular background. A gray line box set on the black grid to allow an edging so that the colors will be more distinctive and not bleed as they appear to a little bit in the other example. It's up to your own taste, though. Each effect is suitable for what you're trying to use. Again, adjusting the background color to a purple pinkish. And this is Grid HR1 on Disc 2. Next, I'm going to show you how to create some texture backgrounds. Choose a built-in circle brush, holding down the right mouse button, size it. Hit F7 for cycle, which means it will cycle through the range of colors that have been chosen. Hit your F10 to remove the menu. Take it to the upper left corner and start painting it down. And as you see, as we paint the brush down, it cycles through the colors within that range. We'll fill up the screen in that manner. Then we'll press F10 to bring back the menus. We'll move the pointer to the menu up top, choose Mode, and choose Smear or F4. Smear is like dragging a wet watercolor brush over the screen, using only the colors under the brush. So we'll continue to drag it in a circular pattern, noticing that it achieves certain effects. And if we again continue in a circular pattern, that varies the effects. Experiment yourself to see what you find to be the most useful and most creative utilizing these different modes within the brushes. So we'll continue. That seems to have achieved a very interesting pattern effect. Take it around one more time. Then we'll hit F10 to bring the menus back. Choose the circular built-in brush and size it a little bit larger. Next, we go back up to the Mode menu, and we choose Blend or F6. Like Smear, Blend affects the colors under the brush by running them together. Unlike Smear, however, Blend uses additional shades by averaging the blended colors, whereas Smear uses only the colors under the brush. This brush appears too large, so let's hit F10, choose the Circle Built-in Fill tool, and size it to a smaller brush. Then let's return to the blending, moving it around in a circular pattern, noticing that this creates a smoother textured effect. Continue around until we've achieved whatever way you want it to look. Fill in certain areas. When satisfied, press F10, choose the mode menu, and choose Smooth or F8. Again, choose the built-in circle brush, press the right mouse button, size it to a rather large brush. We're going to use the smoothing effect with this. Move it to where you care to, then press the left mouse button. Smooth reduces the contrast between two adjoining areas. When making a gradient fill, if you discover that you've done something incorrect, press the space bar to stop the operation. Again, when you're making a gradient fill, one thing to be sure of is that you have removed the menu bar before doing the fill. Otherwise, as you see, the area on the right will not be filled in. So make sure you press the F10 first, then press the left mouse button for the fill, and that will give you a complete background fill. Next, we're going to modify an existing background. Load Blue Swirl with Box from Disk 1 onto the screen as shown. Choose the gray color, choose the filled rectangle, and create a box within that other box. Release when satisfied. We're going to choose a lighter gray color. Choose the straight line tool, hit magnify, holding down the left mouse button. Put that diagonal line straight across. This is similar to the other examples, creating those borders, then filling it in with the colors. Again, choosing lighter shades to create a lighting effect on the box. Then we select black from the palette. Choose the unfilled rectangle and create a box within that to edge that gray box we've created in the center. We then choose the fill tool and fill that with a solid color black. Hit the F10 key. I then overlay this onto live video. Pressing the F10 key again shows that only the color 0 is transparent, regardless of the color chosen. So I fill that with the color 0 to allow the video to be shown through. Next, we're going to fill the 4 borders with different gradient fills. A 2-color gradient fill. Choose OK. Choose the range from the palette. Then click the right mouse button on the fill tool. Move the dither all the way to the right to mix them together. Remove the half bright mode. And then click OK. We'll fill that side. And we'll use the same procedure to fill the other 3 sides until that's completed. We'll then choose the palette again to show that these are the 4 color cycling ranges that are going to be utilized in this example. So we'll click OK, press the Tab key to start color cycling. We'll overlay this onto live video, this example being similar to the opening shot of the tape. Again, a reminder, correct colors and screen position are viewed on the composite monitor, not the RGB monitor. To adjust the screen position, press the Control key and the arrow keys. Pressing the Control and the upper arrow moves the screen position down. Pressing the Control and the left arrow moves the screen position to the right. Pressing the Control key and the down arrow moves the screen position up, and pressing the Control key and the right arrow moves the screen position to the left. Again, overlaying this onto live video, you can see these effects. Next, we're going to create a happy birthday screen. Choose a light blue color, click Clear to create the blue background. Choose a darker blue, and choose the Filled Circle tool, holding that out to create a circle. Choose the Magnify. Choose the Straight Line tool, holding that down. We're going to create a little triangle to signify the bottom of the balloon. Fill that in with the color. Click the Magnify again. And we're going to create that into a brush. Going to clear the screen. Choose an outline color, pressing O once to outline that, stamping it down with the left mouse button. Choosing a pinkish color from the palette, moving the brush back up, stamping it down with the left mouse button. Choosing the Fill tool and filling that with a pinkish color. Choose another color from the palette, a built-in circle tool, and create a lighting highlight on the balloons. Press J with the spare screen, clear that to the blue background. Press the right mouse button on the A to bring up the font requester. And we're going to choose Ruby size 15 to be utilized for this example. Click OK. Choose the color for the text. Type Happy Birthday. Create that into a brush. Press Shift H to double the size. Again, do the same sequence for the birthday. Create it into a brush. Press Shift H to double that, making a happy birthday screen with the larger brushes. We then choose Make Stencil, choose the color of the brush, choose Invert to do a gradient fill on that color. The filled rectangle box coming down and inserting the gradient fill onto the happy birthday. When that's completed, choose the brush tool and we'll create happy into a brush. Choose a color for the outline, pressing O once, twice, doing the same sequence for the birthday and creating a happy birthday screen with the outline text. Then we take the happy birthday brush, hit J to go back to the original screen and stamp it down, and in the same manner do that with the birthday, stamping it down. Next we choose the airbrush tool from the menu, choose a blue color, and create an airbrush effect by holding down the left mouse button in certain areas. As you can see, I also have the gradient fill color cycling, having pressed the Tab key. Then go back and select the square built-in brush. Choose another color. Select the dotted freehand tool and stamp it down where you will on the screen. Go back, choose a different color, stamping that down, making whatever modifications you care to on the picture. Press your F10 to bring back the menus. Choose a different color. Select the built-in circle brush, the continuous freehand tool. Pressing down the left mouse button, creating the shapes you want to create different designs throughout the picture, as you can see. Again, your only limitation here being your imagination and creativity. Experiment with different designs and see what you like and what's best for the project you're working on. This particular screen is called Happy B-Day screen and is on disc 1. We'll begin by choosing the low-res screen. Click on OK. Then go up to the menu, choose Anim, move down to Frames, and choose Set Number. We're going to create the number of frames in the animation. Click with the left mouse button. We'll set it to 10. Click on OK. Now in the upper left corner you see a 1/10 signifying the first frame of the 10 animations. Next we'll choose a yellow color to use. Click on the Filled Circle tool and create a circle. Go down, click on another color for the outline color. Next, create it into a brush. Click once with the O to put an outline around that. Click on Clear. Choose all frames. Next, we're going to stamp it down on the first frame. Stamp it down, move to the menu, choose Anim, Control, and down to Next or 2, which will move us into the next frame. Then we'll stamp that down on the next frame. Press the 2 key, stamp it down on the third frame, press the 2 key, continue the process. And this is a way of painting one frame at a time to create the animation, painting it down in the 10 different frames. Now go up to the menu, choose Anim, choose Control, and go down to Play Once or 5. We'll then play the animation once, press 5 again, the 5 key being used to play your animation through once. Pressing the 4 key produces continuous play of the animation, and pressing the 6 key produces a ping-pong effect with going forward and backward. To control the speed, go up to the menu, Anim, down to Control, and Set Rate. You can change this to different settings to control the speed. Here we'll change it to 20, click on OK. When you play it, you'll see the speed is slower. Next, let's go up and set that back to 30. Click on OK. Click Clear. Clear all the frames. Next, we'll learn Anim painting. Hold down the left Amiga key, hold down your left mouse button, and drag the mouse, moving the object as you see. What occurs is that the object is painted down over the 10-frame animation automatically, as opposed to the manual way in the former example. Experiment with this, as you can achieve some interesting effects. Next, we're going to clear these frames, and we're going to add 10 more frames to the animation to create a 20-frame animation. So choose Anim, move down to Frames, to Set Number. We're going to change that to 20, click on OK. Next, choose the gold color font in the font requester and take its palette, stamp it down, type in Video. Then create that into a brush. Again, we'll clear all frames. And press the Shift 2 key to take you to the last frame of the animation. As you can see, 20/20 in the upper left. We're going to stamp this down, then press Undo. Then we're going to use the Move requester. Go to the Anim menu, go to Move, and that brings up the Move requester. This allows us to move the object in 3 dimensions at X, Y, and Z axis. Go to Z distance, click with the left mouse button and type in -1200. Go down to the count, set that to 20 as we had changed this to a 20-frame animation. Click the Go To command, telling it to go to where we had stamped the brush, and click Preview to preview what it looks like. As you see, it appears to come out of space and stop with the video brush. If we're satisfied with the look of this effect, then let's draw it. Now the program will draw that on the 20 frames of the animation. Press 5 to view the effect. Next, let's make the brush rotate around itself. Set the angle under Z to 360 degrees. Preview it, and you'll see the brush rotate around itself as it comes towards us. Click Draw to draw that, and again it will draw that through the 20 frames of the animation. Press 5 to view. Now let's have it rotate around the Y-axis and the Z-axis both. Set that to 360, preview it, and you see it turning on both axes as it comes towards us. You can draw that. The different axes on the brush and the different axes on the distance produce different effects. Play that, view that. Now let's set the X1 to 360 degrees to give a 3-angle rotation simultaneously as it comes towards us. Again, we'll draw that. And you can see how the functions work on the brush axis and use your own ideas to create your own effects with it. Press 5 to view. Next, I want to illustrate the X and the Y axis on the distance. So we'll click the X, set that to a -500, click Preview, and as you see it comes from the right now as opposed to the center when it comes towards us. I'll draw that. So the X, Y, and Z axis on distance signify different points you can have your objects come from. Play 5, you see it come out. Now let's set the Y one, set that to 500, click Preview, and you see the brush starts lower. Again, we'll draw that. Press 5 to play. You see that spin out. This example will show you a technique to have an object come from its opposite side and come together. We're going to set the -1200 on the Z to 360 for the angle to have it revolve around itself. Set the X to the -500, set the Y to 200, and preview it. As you see, we drew it and it comes out as such. Now a simple technique is to just change the negative to positive, the 500, and change the positive to negative on the -200, and you'll see that that comes out from the other side, and they come together on the final sequence. A simple technique to produce a nice effect. Next, we're going to learn about anim brushes. I'm going to choose P for the palette to make a gradient fill range. I'm going to choose the fill requester, click on OK, choose the filled circle tool, and create a circle. What we're doing now is creating a simple animation that we can pick up as an anim brush. I'm going to create this into a brush. I'm going to edge it once to give it an outline. I'm going to clear all the frames. Press Shift 2 to take to the final frame. Stamp it down. Press Undo. Press Shift M for the Move Requester. I'm going to clear all the settings. I'm going to set the Z angle to 360 degrees. I'm going to preview that. As you see, it will rotate around itself. Once the animation is completed, we want to save it now as an anim brush. So go up to the anim menu, choose anim brush, choose Pickup. Holding down the left mouse button, create a box, release. And now as you see, it goes through the 20 frames and saves each frame. So now we have an anim brush, a brush that is an animation and a brush at the same time. So holding down the left Amiga key, move this along through the 20 frames, whatever pattern you care to, until it's laid down on the 20 frames. And now as you play the animation, you'll see that it is revolving as it is moving. Next, we'll create the wedding animation. Choose Low Res Overscan for your screen format. Go up to the anim menu, We're going to set the number of frames to 20. Click on OK. I'm going to choose a color, choose a fill, create that color as the background. Next, we're going to copy that to every frame. Go to Frames, Copy to All. That is now copied to all 20 frames of the animation. Next, I load the Heartbrush Low Res from Disk 2 to be used. Hit Shift 2 to go to the last frame, stamp it down, click Undo, press Shift M for the Move Requester, set the X setting to 900, set the Y setting to a -600, and set the Z distance setting to a -1500. I click on Go To, I preview it. You see it come out from the upper left. Then draw it. Then load Heartbrush 1 Low Res from Disk 2. Stamp that down also. Click on Enter. Make this the -900 and the +600 preview, illustrating what we learned earlier in the former example. Draw that, and the two hearts come out and come together on frame 20. Now we want to add another frame. Go to Frame, Add Frame. As you see, 21 and 21 are listed on the upper left. We load the wetting brush. We stamp that down where we want. Then we go up to the Anim menu again, add another frame, until we have added this to frame 25 altogether. You see 21, 22, 23, 24, and finally 25. Then I load the Memories brush in, stamp that down where we want it, add this frame until we get to frame 28. Then press the 5 key to play the animation. We can modify this basic design and substitute different names instead of the wedding memories. To do that, we have to delete the last 8 frames, taking us back to frame 20. So we go up to the menu, choose Frames, and choose Delete Frame, and confirm Yes, until we've taken it down to just 20 frames again, as you see up top. Then we're going to add one more frame, and whatever name you want, create into a brush, a gradient fill if you like. For instance, Dave, stamp that one down, and we'll add the frames until that's up to 25. And then the other name could be Ann Sally. Stamp that down as a brush on your 25th frame, and then add the frames on that till you come to frame 28. So when you play this, you've created an animation where Dave and Sally come out in the end, as opposed to wedding memories. For videographers, you can customize this to the people you're doing your wedding videos for. Next, we'll save the animation. So go up to the menu, choose Save. Now this is a 28 frame animation. So to save it to be used in DeluxePaint, we want to maintain the 28 frames. To use for Elan Performer, you have to delete 2 frames and make it 26. Saving it for Elan Performer, then we'll name it Wedding Anim EP. And for TV Show, you have to add 2 frames in the end and save 30 frames. To show a screen, or 2 screens in succession, first set the brush color to the background color. Then press the Delete key to remove the cursor. Then press the F10 key to remove the menus. And then press the J for the spare screen to bring up your second screen. After opening Elan Performer's initial window, double-click on the System icon, then move your pointer and double-click on the Preferences icon. The Preferences allows us to move the screen positioning. When the screen appears, move the crosshairs to the right angle bend. Holding down the left mouse button, you can then move the screen wherever you care to be able to adjust it for the correct video use. Click Use. For TV show, double-click on the Workbench icon, then double-click on the Preferences icon, and again double-click on the Preferences. And this is the same procedure we had just used for Elan Performer. To use Elan Performer, double-click on the picture or icon. When the window opens up, move the crosshairs to Elan Performer, double-click to open up the program. When the initial screen appears, you'll see that you have a keyboard that looks identical to the keyboard on your computer. This is actually your editing deck where you can assign images and sequences. Up here are some other functions for the disk drive, other functions for the images, and this is where your files are located. Click with the left mouse button on Elan Performer, then click with the left mouse button on Image to bring up the pictures, then double-click with the left mouse button on the base, move it to the 1 key, click with the left mouse button, then double-click with the left mouse button to display the image. We'll come back to the keyboard. As you can see up here, it displays in the editor what we have is an image, where it came from, the name of the image, the size of the image, and up here we have a function for setting the time that it's held. By clicking above it, we can raise it. By clicking below it with the left mouse button, we can lower it. Has a function to color cycle. By clicking left, turns it on or off. This is called the editor. Press the Escape key once, and it'll start the sequence that we have assigned to the keyboard, again displaying the base image. Let's clear that image from keyboard 1. Move your pointer to clear, click with the left mouse button, move it to 1, click with the left mouse button. Now clears that image. Let's load disk 1 in drive DF1. Click with the left mouse button for backgrounds. Click with the left mouse button on interlace. And we're going to choose 2 backgrounds from this selection. Double-click with the left mouse button on blue swirl. Move that to image 1. Click with the left mouse button. Double-click on blue swirl with box. Assign that to keyboard 2. Press the Escape key, and you'll see the sequence of the 2 screens. The first and the second with the box on it. There's a default of 5 seconds to each screen being displayed. Next, we'll see how to use the keyboard edit buttons. Move to copy, click left. Move to 3, click left, and you've moved image 2 to 3. Click undo to undo that operation. Exchange, click on the key you want to go from, and you've exchanged between these 2 keys, as you can see. The red triangle highlighted shows the current key, which is then displayed in the editor. Move, you can move from one key to another, thereby moving from key 2 to 4 there. Move again, moving it back to key 2. And exchange, exchanging that back again, so it's as it was when we started. Next, I'll illustrate an 8 successive screen sequence, the images from keys 1 to 8. Key 1 being the first image, pressing key 8 to display the last image. This sequence having been used at the beginning of the tape. What I'd like to illustrate now is Preferences. Click with the left mouse button. Display protection. Off means 1 screen is used. On means 2 screens are used. Load all, each image. Display, wait for the image. Display the first image, or display all the images automatically. Cycles is the number of cycles that it'll go through. Again, above takes it up, below takes it down. Click with the left mouse button to get out of that. Go to the editor for For these examples, I've defaulted the editor to 2 seconds to make the sequence faster. Hit the Escape key. It now automatically runs through the sequence of the 8 screens. These screens I created in DeluxePaint as 8 separate screens. Double-click the Escape key to get out of the sequence and return us back to the keyboard. Now we're going to change the display to first, meaning it will display the first screen. Press Escape to start the sequence. It then loads the first image onto the screen. From there, click Spacebar to run an automatic sequence where it automatically runs through the screens. Another option utilizing first, once you've pressed the Escape key, is to press the Caps Lock key, allowing remote control use. Now by clicking the left mouse button, the screens go forward, and in fact by clicking the right mouse button, the screen can actually go backward, as you see here. Now going backward by clicking the right mouse button. Next we'll create the title screen sequence. From Disk 2, Load Screens, double-click on Clear, assigned to F1, double-click on Black, assigned to F3. So by pressing F1 I have a clear video screen, and F3 a full black screen. I then load the title screens in, double-click on Texture 5, assign that to number 1, assign Title 1 to number 3, and assign Title 2 to number 5. Click on the Preferences, set Display to Wait, set Protection to On, and set Load to All. I then double-click on the 1 key. I choose Display Wait because then I can bring the images up by pressing the keys that I want to. Press the 1 key, press the 3 key, no color cycling, go back. Set color cycling on the 3 and the 5 key, double-click on the 1 key, press the 1 key, press the 3 key, press the 5 key, and then press the 1 key again. And that's how simple editing is using Elan Performer. Let's save a sequence. Go to File, click with the left mouse button. Let's name it Script 1. Click Save. Click Environment. Click OK to save. Now Script 1 will appear in the files above. TV Show is a special effects slideshow for graphics, animations, and sounds. With only 1 megabyte of memory, effects are limited. TV Show provides its own talking tutorial, which should be viewed first. To create a sequence, choose Project, New, go to File, name it Video 1, as we're naming a new script. Click OK, click Add, click Screen, insert Disk 1 in drive DF1, click DF1, then choose Screens, click Clear 352 by 480, click on OK and you're in the Edit screen. Click left arrow Dwell till key appears, click Done. This time click the Cycle tool so that the screen that appears after Cycle will color cycle. Click the Dwell box so that the colors appear in the cycling to signify it's on, click Done. Click Screen to add another screen. This time we're going to choose the backgrounds. Click with the left mouse button, click Interlace, then choose the Hollywood diagonal. Choose that, click OK. Set dwell to key. Click on cut to bring up transitions. Choose checkerboard. Done. The checkerboard appearing below dwell. Then click on done. Click on screen. Go back to the other screens. We're going to choose the clear again, 352 by 480. Choosing 352 by 480 to keep all the screens in the same resolution. Again, we go back and set this to key. Click cut. Choose a different transition. Click play. Click all to play all the screens. The screens are controlled by me clicking the mouse button, going through the transitions. This effect should look similar as it was in the beginning of the tape. To save that sequence, you click Done, go to Script, choose Save As. We've already named the file Video 1. Choose the device, DF0, OK.
Good evening and welcome to the news. Tonight's top story is the astounding account of physical multiple personalities of a woman from Teaneck, New Jersey, who literally changes physically as each personality is assumed. We've obtained live footage
Of the event, which Ms. Nina Fontaine claims began after she jokingly repeated Uncle Arthur's spell while watching a rerun of Bewitched.
Investigation into the matter continues.
It was my major presentation in front of the corporate staff. Nothing would work. It seemed as if my mouse had a mind of its own. Then I got Miracle Disc, Amiga piece of mind for only $29.95. Miracle Disc. It's a miracle if it works. On Sci-Fi Movie, had Dr. McCoy crossed one too many parallel universes? Tonight, the other side of Bones McCoy.
First, all I could see was this face coming toward me. Then I saw the room. A queer mirror room. And somehow, I was inside it. There was danger there. I knew that. I wanted to turn and run, but I couldn't. It seemed as if my brain was handcuffed, and I had to do what I'd come to do.
Dr. McCoy, report. Dr. McCoy, report. Bones, it's Jim. Are you in trouble? Bones. Lieutenant, can you lock on his coordinates? I think we can, sir. Lock on his coordinates immediately. Bones! Bones! It's Jim. I've got the coordinates, Captain. Lock onto them. Transporter room. Transporter room. Energize. Coming this fall to Amiga TV, The Cool Show, starring J and C, featuring cool people doing the coolest of things. That's this fall on Amiga TV, The Cool Show.
another story, the Reverend Billy Farthington of New Life Ministries has been reported to be considering a sex change operation. When asked concerning that, Reverend Farthington replied, "God only knows, and she ain't talking."
Son, I got a great new cereal for you. Frosted Amiga chips.
Mom, it says there's a free Amiga Man in every box. Maybe there's one in mine. The Amiga Man!
Oh, he's so good looking.
Good to the last bite.
Good evening and welcome to America's Most Unwanted. True life accounts of the criminals you can help us to capture. Let's begin with tonight's list of unwanted. Dorothy Dot Parker enjoys removing pillow do not remove tags. Carol Vanessa Tate hoards extra coupons. Robert Buff Andrews, a fast food attendant who's a little too friendly. And finally, Kathy Kitty Cat Wilson claims every day is her birthday. And finally, the capture of the week, Ida Rather, seen here in her indoor garage.